I'm Kelsey Chittick.
And I'm October Gonzalez. And you're listening to Keep On.
Today on Keep On the podcast, we wanted to talk about something that we're all dealing with at the moment, unfortunately, and something that occurs way too often in our country. We've experienced another school shooting in Santa Clarita recently, and we wanted to discuss why we think this has become a bigger epidemic than ever before. Why now? Why so ever many years ago this was not happening at all? This was non-existent. And why is a school shooting, why is a child, a teenage kid, feeling like he has no other option but to come to school that morning and kill his classmates?
And why does he have the gun to do it?
And why is he allowed to be able to purchase a gun
Or get it from his parents?
Or to perform an act like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, everybody has a stance on gun control, and everybody stands pretty firmly. I've never heard anyone go, you know what, great point. I'm going to believe the way you do. It's like one of those topics that everyone has dug in. And I think there's people that think it's a mental health issue, which a lot of that can be true.
Yeah.
There's people that think it's the access to the gun, which I'm pretty much in that space because I believe that this kid would have felt that way, and that's a different subject.
Yeah.
But because of the gun, he was able to do it. I get that people shoot people, but if you don't have a gun, you can't shoot anyone. So that whole argument does not ring true for me, that it's like, well, people kill people. Yeah, but if he went and tried to choke everyone out, it wouldn't be as easy.
Right, of course.
So for me personally, I from the South, at my family, my dad has guns, my brother has guns. They are hunters. I don't necessarily believe in that or agree with it, but a lot of people that I love seem to really enjoy it, and they seem to be very responsible gun owners. I will tell you, a couple years ago, my kids went down to see my brother, and he had forgot to lock up his guns, and they were sitting in his laundry room, and they were rifles or whatever he uses for his hunting. And I thought, like, oh, no, you didn't. And I haven't been that mad in a long time. And my girlfriends and I talk a lot about if you send your kids over to someone's house, like their dad's a police officer, like, do you have the gun question? Do you ask the parents, do you have any guns in the house? Do you talk to your kids about what to do if they see one? I do now, but I don't like that conversation. I really wish we didn't have to have it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So just to play devil's advocate, we've had guns for a really long time, since the beginning of time. And yet, for whatever reason, this school shooting thing has only started to happen within, the last 15 years?
Yeah, I think there's so much. First of all, we've had guns, but we haven't had access to semi-automatics and military-style weapons. So you would have like a dueling gun, like a shotgun, and you could kill one person.
Right.
Yes. But there is a sense that they want to wipe out a lot of people.
The automatic weapon thing blows my. I don't even understand it. I don't understand.
We're the only country that has this problem. PSSS, and we all know that.
But what else is it going to take for us to realize that there's not a hunter that needs a semi-automatic weapon? There's no one here in our community, that needs a semi-automatic weapon.
And what's interesting is you don't see as often, like we live in LA, and there's tons of gangs and there's tons of violence, but you don't see people in Compton going out and blowing up, 15 people, but you do see it in schools. Yeah. I'm always so amazed at the human spirit, because I'm always like, God, when you're on the 405, if you wanted to, you could just turn your car to the left and just kill 40 people in a huge pileup.
Yeah.
But something in our souls keeps us from doing that. Like, what keeps people from not killing more? Like, whenever I go into a movie theater, I'm like, if somebody was crazy, they could just take everybody out. But there's more good than bad in the world.
Absolutely. I believe that.
I'm always so grateful for that.
But why now?
And why the schools, and why these 15 to 18-year-old boys that are so angry. And
and depressed.
And they want someone to listen. Mm. They're hurting.
So,
they want to hurt someone.
Is this a cry for help? Is this depression? Is this mental?
Is it video
disorders?
Games?
Is it video games? Is it social media? Is it I mean, if you look at what's happened and you kind of correlate it with what's happened in the world of technology, it all probably goes hand in hand. And I don't know the statistics on that. I'm just throwing that out there. But
Oh yeah, it does.
it's all got to correlate, because it's just wild to me, the levels of sadness and separation and depression that a kid would have to feel in order to get to the point. I mean, this is obviously not somebody we're talking about with a mental disorder, but somebody that would feel like this was their last option.
Yeah, and that we have to send our kids to school every day. I mean, my school, my kids' school in El Segundo, it's the most ridiculous thing. They built this like huge fence around it.
Yeah.
And you have to check in with your
We have that.
with your license and all that. And I'm like, okay, but the truth is, if a kid wants to bring a gun in, they're going to
goes
bring
to the school?
It's in your backpack.
Right.
It's in their jacket. Like we're just, from my perspective, we're going about it backwards. Putting a big fence around the school is not going to do anything. And then you're trapping the shooter inside the school. No, we can't get in. No one can get there. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. It breaks my heart that my school that the kids go to now looks like a prison as opposed to a school. I understand their thoughts behind it, but I don't think that's going to save anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just breaks my heart too. And I think it ties to social media also. Like there's just, kids have too much coming at them that's too hard. It's too much.
And the video games too, they're almost too real. It's like there's a detachment there of like what reality is and what a video game is, or where.
That's why we don't have any.
It's all mixed up. I'll be the first one to say, like, my kid plays Fortnite. I hate it.
Don't worry about Fortnite.
Yeah, I know, but it's still like
Minecraft.
Semi-violent. He's still like a sharpshooter, and it's still, to me, like.
But he's not killing other people, is he?
Yeah, it's like killing the other guy.
Oh yeah, that's not.
And
good.
I don't like it.
No,
it feels wrong.
We don't. Jack doesn't have anything, and that's only because I can't stand it, and it just causes. I can't manage it because he and I will come up against it, so I just took it away.
Mm-hmm.
There's something also about if you're playing something on your phone, for some reason a smaller screen makes me feel better than when you're like, some kids have like the huge consoles with the big screens and they're literally playing for hours.
And I mean, look, River plays also, he plays Madden, he plays NBA.
That's what I like, yeah.
I like all those sports games, and I don't mind them. I don't mind Minecraft, but the ones that are violent. I mean, look, we had Nintendo growing up. There was none of this shit happening. No. And there were like semi-violent games, but what is happening now? What is going on now? And I personally believe it is social media.
Well, I just
used
think
in the wrong way by little brains that aren't able to navigate it or use it in a positive way, but use it in a more aggressive, threatening, angry type of way.
Yeah, and I guess we don't know if back 20 years ago, if people had access to semi-automatics, if they were just as angry.
Oh, they were just as angry.
But generations before us dealt with a lot of hard things. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and they weren't killing each other in schools.
Right.
They just weren't.
What's
and they
going
had
on with
real
our
guns.
kids?
And they had real, I don't know. And I do think taking the guns out would at least keep people alive, but I don't think it would change the way that boy felt before he went in and killed somebody.
And obviously, first and foremost, we want to get rid of the killing. And so
that's always a good place to start.
And then we start delving into the why.
Yeah, and so I don't know.
Or is it reversed?
That's the thing. I feel like every group of, so this is a topic all the time, and by God knows we're not experts in this at all. But as moms, you go like, man, we can't even send our kids to school without worrying every day that some lunatic, especially in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And it happens everywhere. It's funny though, it doesn't happen in low income areas.
Right. Is that true?
Pretty much. I mean, it's very rare that you're going to go to like an inner city. There'll be a fight or someone will get punched out or there might be a knifing.
Well, yeah.
But maybe it's because they have metal detectors.
They do have metal detectors in the inner city.
God, that's so sad that we
That
have
is
to go
sad.
that. Yeah, I mean.
But I also think they have bigger fish to fry. They're not,
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they're more worried about making money so their family can pay the bills. And if they're selling drugs, it's because they have to provide some sort of income or it's.
My heart just breaks for this generation that has so much hurt that somehow we're missing, and that we also, as a country, struggle so much with something simple like getting semi-automatics out of the hands of kids. So
what do you say to the gun owner who says, I like to hunt, that you're taking away my a civil right that I have?
Yeah, I mean,
what is...
Like, too much is given, much is expected. If we allow people to
not constitutional to take my gun away.
Yeah, well, it's also not constitutional to have your kid murdered by someone else. So we're all losing here. Like somebody's got to give. Like you don't. I mean, I think I talked to my brother about it. And my mom's hugely involved in anti-gun laws and the League of Women Voters in California, and she is very, very passionate about gun safety and changing gun laws. And she's awesome. She's awesome about that stuff, and she gets fired up and she does a bunch of work. And then my brother and my dad are like, we're very responsible people. I don't have, I wish I
What
had all
about
the
just
solutions.
making it harder to get a gun? How about having like a personality test to see if you have a mental disorder?
But see, this kid didn't get the gun on his own.
I know.
He took it from somebody else.
Yeah.
And the fact is that it's on the street and available. It's
is.
not that, I mean.
And how are we ever going to get them off the street?
I mean,
we
you
really can't. Can we?
I mean, my dad and brother don't have semi-automatics,
Right.
and they're locked up. So there are responsible ways. But if you could guarantee me that everybody that has a gun is responsible and is of sound mind and is not drinking while they're, watching their kids and they don't find the gun. And I mean, that's my worst fear. It was when the kids were little, that they would find a gun under someone's bed or somewhere and they would just be playing around and then it's lights out. And then for the rest of their life. And so, I don't have the answer, and I'm more just sad that we're at this place and that and I don't see as a country us resolving it.
So
depressing.
what kind of conversation do we have with our kids regarding this topic?
Oh, I love this. This and porn I'll get fired up about. I think you got to just go in honestly. First of all, and this is awful, but I always tell my kids, like, whoever is a kid at school that seems broken, like, be best friends with them. Because I have this awful
also,
idea.
like, help them out.
Yeah,
not
but
just because you don't want to get shot when they
I know. Well,
they lose it, but also because maybe you can change their whole day.
I
and,
start with
help
so you
them.
don't get shot. I'm like, here's the thing.
know
This is
you
why
do.
this is why we're going to go about this.
God.
Well, because I'm like, listen, there's something here that you may or may not be able to fix, but you definitely don't want to be someone that ever hurts someone that's already hurting.
Yeah.
That you can tell is not well. I mean, there was a kid in Addison's class that used to always, like when he would get mad or she would answer a question, he would pretend with his hands, like come up and look at her across the desk and be like,
I don't like that.
negative ghostwriter. I was like, so teacher, we need to look at this. And I just said to her, she said, it scares me. I'm like, of course it scares you. And it scares me because he's in 4th grade, but you're like looking at him in 9th going,
Right.
this guy's not well.
Let's nip this in the bud.
Well, you
right
hate
now.
to be like, I remember when that kid was always that way.
And how would you feel if you didn't say something? So, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, like, how do you support those kids and how do you start to say, like, this person's hurting? But there's such a mob mentality in middle school and high school.
Oh, my God.
That's
It's the worst age to be.
And so if you're alienated and you already think everybody hates you and you already don't have a shot and you already feel like no one listens to you and no one cares and you're picked on, you have nothing to lose. You already hate your life.
Yeah.
So
And when you're that age, you just feel so hopeless. So, I mean, I feel like I would want to tell my kids, like, absolutely treat everybody kindly. And if you see somebody that is the underdog or somebody that does seem depressed or angry, a simple act of kindness goes a
That's the thing.
long way.
Yeah,
Just being like, hey, what's up? Literally, just smiling and saying, hey, what's up?
Yeah. And if we can't change the gun laws and it seems like our government just can't quite get to where we want, then we've got to change it through our kids' actions. And
We do. And the way we treat other people and the way we become a little bit more hyper aware of the kid that's in need of some extra attention or who's depressed. I mean, really, I think it's maybe educating our kids on really seeking out the person that seems to be in a more depressed state of mind.
Yeah, and then when you're talking about going over to people's houses, it's the same thing that I check on, like with when they're little. Now I think they're more aware because they're older. But it's that if you ever saw a gun, the first thing you do is walk away.
Yeah,
and you go
I
tell
say you
somebody.
Don't go near it.
You go tell someone you don't touch it.
You go tell.
And if anyone's touching it, you run as fast as you possibly can out of there because they go off all the time. And I think when the kids were younger and there was families that we were sending over and I didn't know, I would always say, do you have guns in your house? And we have some friends that are in law enforcement and things like that. And they'd be like, yes, this is where they were. But I have no problem asking that.
Yeah. I know you don't.
No.
So I'm not saying like our kids have to be best friends with these kids or it's on their shoulders to seek out the kids and help them. I'm just saying let us all just treat everybody with kindness and then maybe notice the person that isn't being treated as well as everybody else. And a simple act goes a long way.
Yeah, and the other thing that's hard about guns
never
for
know.
me is if you're in pain and you don't even go kill other people, but you kill yourself because you have the ability to. Like if you have a gun in the house and you're feeling awful, it's a lot easier to kill yourself than if you have to get a rope or have to go find a different way and it's all
then
this
maybe
thing.
you have a little bit more time
Maybe you
to
have some
think
time, or
about
you have
it.
someone that can interrupt it or somebody that can help you. But I don't get guns. I don't get them. And I know a lot of people do, but I don't get them.
I think the joy of the hunt and the joy of the sport and the idea that you're safer with it in your home, which statistics say you are absolutely not.
Of course not.
Is so low on the totem pole compared to
The downside.
the downside of it all and the killing.
I remember Nate when he was alive, he always had a bat under his bed, which I thought was funny because he had the sleep apnea mask because then you have
That's
to come out
actually
from
genius.
the tube.
Bat
But
is
he
great.
said, I know I will kill myself or you or one of the kids because I will be so rageful. And he's like, I'd rather just beat them to death with the bat. And I said, but what if they have a gun? He's like, I'll beat it out of their hands.
Yeah.
But he would have never had a gun because he's like, there's just the liability's too high with kids in the house to have a gun. It's not worth it. But I love that he had it's probably like a softball bat. It probably wasn't.
Tony's also crazy. Tony wakes up I think in a former life he was like in Nam or something and killed in his sleep.
He screams.
He has he screams when he's woken up and out of a deep sleep.
I used to do that.
Which is terrifying.
I know.
I mean, imagine if you're like a burglar or something and you wake his big ass up. You're like, whoa, I'm out of here. That's
Well,
scary.
and I just feel like, so I mean, I think you have a right to protect yourself, but what I think you should do is get a Ring doorbell.
A Ring doorbell?
Get a Ring doorbell.
Kelsey has a Ring doorbell. She's got the club on all her doors. You ain't getting into Kelsey's house if you're like,
Here's the thing. You're going to have to really want to get to me to get to me.
Yeah, I love it.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff we can talk about gun safety. Toby and I are not experts,
No,
but it's
by the
on
way,
our hearts.
nothing we've said has any sort of,
Go ahead and tell us we're all wrong because we don't have a
Base.
clue. But
This
I
is
think
just our opinions, guys. Feel free to add to them, to disagree with them, whatever you feel. These are just our feelings towards the whole topic, being mothers with children.
I'm sick of my kids being at risk of being killed by a gun.
And I know all of you guys are too. Like, what in the hell
I'm tired.
is going on in our world?
Go to school and be safe and learn.
And be kind to each other. Let's teach our kids to be kind to each other so that hopefully we can, if it will matter just a little bit to the kid who is maybe thinking about doing something like this.
I know. My worst
Maybe
nightmare
it'll
is,
make a difference.
I would die if my kid turned goth because those people are just hurting so badly, I don't know why I brought that up because I'm sure this is not, it has nothing to do with
I don't think it has to
anything.
do with the style of music or anything.
But I mean just like people that feel unseen and unheard.
Yes, kids that feel unseen.
And like I've got a child in 6th grade and it's hard for her and she's very friendly and active, but it's still, it's hard. So
maybe it'll start at home too with us just listening to our kids more and being in tune with them. I mean, I think us as parents, a lot of that responsibility falls on us. Yeah. If your kid is the kid who goes in there and does this horrific act, I will go ahead out on a limb and say, what the fuck, mom and dad?
You missed something.
Sorry, but what in the fuck?
Yeah.
You have missed the boat somewhere. Something along the line where you were seeing these red flags or you were seeing depression. You didn't take that step.
And if you did do everything you can, I'm sorry.
And if you did do everything you can, then you should never take an ounce of blame or blame yourself or any of that. And, you never know what the situation is. But let's all just try as parents to be in tune with what's going on with our children.
And let's vote.
With their friends.
Let's
and
vote
let's
for
vote
laws.
for this fucking gun situation.
Enough. But it never stops. I get depressed about it. So, anyway. It's kind of overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, and it's so sad, and we just, with heartfelt sincerity, we are so sorry for all the victims of all of these massive school shootings. I can't imagine a scarier thing to have to go through as a parent.
Or to get that call.
Or to get that call and show up at school to pick up your kid and
be do what you can. Talk to your kids about guns today. Vote how you feel, and let's keep talking about how to be kinder in schools. If we can't change some of these laws, let us at least change what we do in our house and our communities.
And we just want us all to just keep on asking these questions and asking ourselves how we can better the situation, how we can make a difference, change it. let's do something. And we just hope that you guys always remember
To keep on.
keep it on.
Thank you for listening. Please comment and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Keep On Podcast. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Keep On, where you can see full videos of each episode. Please rate and comment on Apple Podcast. We would love to hear from you.